What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to break down what's going on with SPY, Tesla, the QQQ, Meta, and many tickers out there. Talk about support and resistance levels, what's going on with Jerome Powell potentially speaking very soon, how this may affect the markets, how the market's getting ready for Powell to speak. Before I break anything down about what Jerome Powell may say, how this could affect the markets, what the market's doing in the pre-market, what levels to be watching for, let me just mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Put in $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward and additional benefits. The offer ends in just 9 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at the market, we can see SPY is currently down about 0.23% in the pre-market. It is most likely going to gap down, but it is at key support as of right now in the 436s. Now, seeing the market potentially gap down makes you think that maybe you could get a bounce and try to fill that gap, which is very possible as we do still tend to see a lot of buyers stepping in. But like I said before, we have to be prepared for lots of volatility in the morning because of Jerome Powell. Now, when is Powell speaking? Just to be safe, as a reminder, Powell is going to be speaking at about 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. You have to be ready for this. What Powell says will affect the entire market. And then we also have Cook from the Fed speaking afterwards and Jefferson from the Fed giving a testimony. So lots of Fed speakers at the same time. Then after that, we have another Fed speaker about 2 hours later at about 12:30 or almost 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then near the end of the day, we have Mester giving another speech. So lots of Fed speakers every couple of hours, guys. You have to be ready for the volatility that's going to come from this. But the biggest one that's speaking is going to be Powell at 10 o'clock a.m. Powell is going to be speaking in front of Congress, in front of the House committee this time around. And what tends to happen is the House are the ones that ask him more stringent, more strict questions, and that can lead to even more volatility. Also, when Powell speaks 2 days in a row, excuse me, typically the first day will be the day when Powell says a lot of things, when he says the most things he's going to say. And the second day will be when Powell does not speak as much. So the first day is the one where he says bigger things. The second day is when he slows down a bit. And also the reason why the market is so concerned is because Powell is going to give us hints about the Fed's future monetary policy. Jerome Powell has said in the past, or at least very recently, that the Fed is open to one or two more rate hikes. He did even accidentally slip and call the latest pause in June a skip. And as a result of that, he is continuing to maintain that position. Now, for that reason, the futures have slowed down a bit. And this is part of why the market's gapping down. The market is just selling up just a tiny bit as we approach Powell because people know that Powell has been hawkish before. But this all could change depending on what he says. If Powell comes out and starts saying that, oh, inflation is cooling off and we're seeing signs of disinflation and this and that, the market could once again try to bounce off that. But if Powell says things about how the Fed is going to continue to remain hawkish, there's lots of work to be done, inflation is too hot, and he takes a more hawkish tone, the market could see more downside. But please remember, based off history, based off yesterday, when the market comes down to these levels, there's still lots of buyers and algos stepping in to try to push the market right back up. So it's very important to note that. Please be prepared for that and please be ready for this going forward. There was some talk about how there could be this inverse head and shoulders forming on SPY. I don't really want to stay too fixated on that because we don't know for sure if that's going to play out. We don't know for sure if that's what's going to happen because it depends on what Powell says. If Powell pumps the markets, watch this chop zone in the 436.25 to 436.64 area. We tend to see a lot of chop around there. If we try to push above that, and we're going to be watching the next major resistance, which is going to be closer to about 438. There's a lot of room to go up to about 438. That's where the 50 EMA happens to be. And if Powell pumps us more, we could see this thing get closer to 440 and potentially 442 as major resistance. But if the market breaks down because of Powell, he continues to scare the markets with his hawkish tone potentially, that could lead SPY to dropping more. And the next major support is going to be at about 435 flat. 435 is going to be the next major zone. If that fails us, then you're going to be watching this thing get closer to the 434 than 433 area. The 200 EMA just so happens to be around 433 right now. So please watch that carefully. If it does continue to break down, that's going to be an important level. And after 433, the next very important level is going to be closer to about 430. And we do have strong support there, so please watch those levels carefully. Now, because we're gapping down, there's a good chance the market may try to rebound later on. It is a possibility, but it all depends on what Powell says. He's going to be speaking 30 minutes after the market opens, so please be ready. As for Tesla, if it's bullish, if Powell pumps this thing more, we could see Tesla try to fly all the way up to about 277.68. Breaks If it breaks that, then we're going to be watching 280, 282.84, then potentially 285 to 286. If Tesla continues to drop lower because of Powell, watch 272.01 and then 270 flats, followed by 268 and other levels below like 265. Now, Tesla is holding up nicely, and there's a lot of buyers still present, clearly. So I don't really see Tesla crashing too hard. If it does drop because of Powell, there's a good chance it's going to get bought right back up. But we did have some bad news from Barclays saying that they're downgrading Tesla. Tesla investors should secure their profits. That's what they said. But Elon Musk has come out and he's very optimistic about India and closing a deal in India at the same time. So we had good news and not so good news at the same time for the company. So it's very mixed right now, and we will see what Powell causes going forward. AMD is continuing to downtrend. We're going to be watching support at 118. If it breaks to the upside, it's going to push for 120. It's stuck in this range. If it breaks 120, it could push to 121, 122, 125, and beyond. If it ends up breaking down, watch 118 as support. If that fails us, it could go down to 115. For the QQQ, if you're bullish on this thing, it's going to push all the way up to about 366. Sorry, as the resistance basically. Break that, then we have 368, 370, then potentially 372.5 to be looking out for. If we break down, we're going to be watching support at 365, 363 as major support. And if that fails us, it's likely going to come all the way down to 360 to 359. We do have some support at 362 though, but please watch these levels very carefully just to be safe. Now, to add on to that, let's just talk about what we're seeing. There's not much going on from the VIX right now to really say that's significant. Apple's a little bit down. If Apple does gap down, which it probably is going to gap down, it could always try to rebound it thanks to Powell. That's what typically happens. I'd be very careful with taking options depending on what the market does. I would just be very patient. If it rebalances, watch resistance at 185. If it breaks down, 186, 186.5, 187.5 are going to be resistances. If it breaks down, watch 184 as support, followed by 182, the zone on the 182s, followed by 180 as major support, then 178 comes after. Watch all these levels carefully. It is going to likely gap down, could try to rebound to fill that gap, but then it all depends on what Powell causes, so please be ready for increased volatility. For Nvidia, if this thing wants to turn bullish, watch resistance around the 433 to 434 area. If it breaks down, watch 440, then watch 445, and then 450 as resistance. Support, we have a major support zone at 430 because we want to see this thing hold the 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame. If it breaks below that, then it has a lot of room to come down all the way down to 425, potentially 420 after that. 421, then 420. And then below that comes 414. So we're going to be watching this test at the 50 EMA. It all depends on Powell. It is gapping down a little bit, so it could try to rebound and fill that gap later on. But for now, let's just be patient and see what Powell causes. Meta is also gapping down, so be very careful on Meta. It's going to be testing the 50 very soon. If it breaks below 280, it has a lot of potential to come down to 276 again, potentially even the lower 272s, but not a guarantee. We'll have to see how it responds to the 50, and we'll have to see what Powell causes. If it pushes to the upside, watch 287.5 as the next major resistance zone above 285 if it gets there. And then after that could come 290 plus, but we're just going to have to wait and see what Powell causes. Anyways, guys, that's what I have for this video. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular day, and get ready for Powell. He's going to cause a lot of volatility, and it's going to be very fun to watch. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.